My name is Alton Davids. I'm your host. The show is about what makes sport happen within the Western Cape. We talk a whole range of different codes of sport. As you know, sport is divided into 73 different made codes of sport, and each code is registered with SASCOC and has national colors. With today's show, we focus on basketball, we focus on tennis, and we chat the transformation charter with the president of the Western Cape Provincial Sport Confederation, who are our partners. To kick the show off, we'll chat to Ckimathi. How are you, sir, Mr. Basketball Western Cape man of action?
I'm fine, thanks. Thanks for having me here.
Basketball has become and has grown phenomenally over the last 2-3 years, I think, in Western Cape. It's just suddenly exploded. What do you think has caused that?
I think mainly it's because of the clubs. The clubs have worked so hard in making sure that the game grows. We've had district federations that are also working hard in making sure that the clubs can grow as well. The introduction of BNL within the country has helped to have kids see up-and-coming players playing on TV and wanting to be like them.
What's the BNL? Explain that to us.
The BNL is the Basketball National League.
Okay.
It plays for a period of about 4 months during the year from May until like September. And this is where all the best players in the country come together and play to see who's the best in the country.
So is it almost like a bit like Super Rugby where you have a franchise team per province? Or how does it work?
Yes, it's one franchise in most instances, but in Joburg you'd have about 4 and KZN you have about 3, and it's a franchise-based model, and each province has a team playing in the BNL, and then you have about plus minus 10 teams, and the winner then is the champion for the Basketball National League.
Do these guys get played?
Yes, they do get paid, obviously depending on the franchise, but it is something that is not at that level of NBA or an Angolan basketball league, but it's something that players can always wish for.
Basketball is played in the Western Cape in a range of different settings. You have club basketball, and then you have university basketball. Do you have school basketball as well? Or
Yes.
Explain how all of these function in synergy with each other.
Okay, so in terms of club basketball, which is the core of what Western Cape Basketball Association concentrates on, it's mainly club basketball. So in the Cape Town district, you have your Cape Town Basketball League, where they play every single year. Last year they played plus minus 700 games. From under 12 basketball up to the Super League, and it's the biggest league in the country actually, which actually plays juniors until seniors. And then you have Cape Winelands would do the same, and we're trying to make sure that other districts, Eden, also come on board so that we have all the districts playing a big basketball. And then from there we have schools. So your schools basketball, you would have top schools competition, which is being run by the Western Province schools body, where the top schools teams play against each other, and it culminates in top schools finals, and that team in the past used to qualify for the top schools, national top schools, but this year it's going to be a provincial team, no longer the winning team.
Okay. And
then you have your university. The university league has been very exciting this year. We have UCT and CPUT men playing in the finals next week. We have CPUT playing against UWC. It has been built. We're putting it up there. We're filling up UCT. There's going to be a record made. We want UCT to be full next year. Next week, I mean.
Tobothi, let's take a look and see at how basketball is played in the Western Cape. Let's check this out. That was one of the biggest rivalries in Cape Town basketball. Ckimathi, tell us who that was?
That's Montana Vikings against CPUT Cats. It's the biggest rival in the province, and already the league has the fixture for that game happening on the 8th of May at UCT at 4 o'clock. That's going to be an awesome game, and one thing for sure, it's going to be exciting.
And is that the end of the season, or is this just part of the season?
No, this is the beginning of the season.
Okay.
We actually in week 2 of the season. The university season starts earlier than the district season.
Okay.
So that we make sure that the calendars don't clash. Because the universities have to qualify for the national championships. So the teams that will be playing next week qualify for the national championships and represent Western Cape. This year we're going to have 6 teams, 3 men and 3 women teams representing Western Cape. Last year the USA teams did very well. CPUT came 3rd in the women, and UCT came 5th. And CPUT men came 4th, and UCT came 6th, if I'm not mistaken. So we are trying to make sure that every single year the Western Cape teams that go out, they go out and do well for the province.
I'm going to ask you a silly question. In light of what Minister Mvikile Mbalula spoke about transformation, the perception is that basketball is a predominantly black sport, non-white, big, tall persons. Is that the general persona in basketball South Africa?
No, if you look at the EPG report, basketball is doing well. We wouldn't be the Federation of the Year if we didn't meet those criteria. So you will find that in the schools, we go to all the schools. It doesn't matter whether you're a private school or non-private school. If you're a government school, if you're in the township, if you are in Constantia. The nice thing about basketball is that it touches all, and it's not an elitist sport. It makes sure that everybody does play. One thing that still needs to be done, though, is we need to make sure that in the previously disadvantaged areas, we need to make sure that there are resources there. Kids need to be able to play the sport. They need to have access to the sport. It's only if we do that, then we can get great basketball players in our national teams. We can't use a few schools or a few clubs to select the best. We have to open it up to a lot of kids, because we never know. We might get the next Michael Jordan from Guguletu or Kailicha or Nyanga or Langa. So we need to make sure that basketball is accessible. And that's what Western Cape Basketball Association is about.
Tell us, and that's a great example you use. Now tell us some of the programs that you use to get that message across and to get people active in the townships.
Okay. So what happens, we have a nice partnership with DCAS, which is Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport. So one program that we ran over the December holidays is we identified 20 young girls across the province for what we called a girls' skills camp, where we identified players based on obviously height and skill, and we worked with those players for 3 days in trying to help those players get better, and with the understanding that if we help kids get better, it helps the sport to also improve in terms of its participation. So that were kids from Cape Winelands, we had kids from Eden, and we had kids from the Cape Metro. Another program that we had also with Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport was where we donated equipment to the Cape Metro and Cape Winelands. The reasoning behind that is to make sure that kids who want to play and clubs that want to play basketball don't have limitation in terms of equipment. So sometimes a kid might want to play, but they don't have balls. They might not have equipment for them to work with their agility. There might be things that are making them not play the sport. So what we are doing as a federation is to make sure that any kid within the country, within the province that wants to play, does that. We also received balls from a couple of companies where we distributed balls to all the districts and made sure that every single club or every single kid that wants to play has a ball, because it can be limiting if you don't have a ball, because you might have a hoop but you don't have a ball.
For sure.
The one last thing is, we're working with the MOD program, And this mod program has helped the province a lot because it gives schools and which are the mod centers which are in schools equipment like your basketballs, your hoops, and those things help us then to actually just have programs running in those schools. So it becomes easier for us to then work with federations because the infrastructure is there.
And that's an important part, Ckimathi, of Western Cape basketball, is that without equipment, you can do nothing.
Yes.
And often people just think, it's just a hoop and it's just a ball. But you mentioned so many other aspects of the game that people don't take into account. The agility, the equipment that you need, the testing equipment. You need to be able to jump, you need to test. Yes, you can jump against the wall and test, but you still need a measuring tape to get that. You need to have qualified coaches to make sure that it happens.
Yes, that's a good point because we have a program which we are working with CISA, where we go to the different districts and actually coach the coaches because everybody thinks that kids come from the sky with skill, and it doesn't happen. We believe that when we invest in coaches, then we are investing in the kids.
Yes.
It doesn't help just looking at the players and not actually coaching the coaches. So we have a program that we're running with CISA. We've gone to plus all the districts. This year we are looking at going back to the districts that we worked with and just see how far they've got in terms of the program, because all the coaches are given a manual and all the coaches have to do some work and submit to actually pass. So it's not a one-day thing where you just come there and you just do a coaching clinic and you go and never go back. So we're making sure that we want to track and see how well the coaches are going and what might be the things that are holding them back for them not to prosper in getting to the highest level of basketball. Our aim as Western Cape Basketball is when we see a Western Cape basketball team, it must be a true representation of the players of the Western Cape. As much as Cape Metro has most of the players, it doesn't mean that all the players must come from the Metro. We are looking at a situation whereby our teams need to have players from Eden. Our teams need to be having players in the Cape Winelands. And if that doesn't happen, it means that we're not doing our work, because basketball is not going in that area for us to have 5 players where we can say that that player is a national team player, that player is a provincial player.
And that's the key, is that it's an all-encompassing code of sport across the Western Cape. You mentioned your partnership with the Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport. Give us 1 or 2 examples of success stories that has come out as a result of the partnership with the department.
Okay, so in terms of the partnership, you will know that we have Heidelberg, the Heidelberg Basketball Club, Heidelberg High School. They just came back from Johannesburg now. They won a tournament, St. Cynthians, a tournament where they were number 1 in that. So that's one of the success stories that we have. We have club like Montana Vikings. The Mod Center is a result of them doing so well in the national championships. Montevideo Primary School came number 1 the past 3 years in the national championships under 13s, boys and girls. It's only last year where the other team got silver and the boys team got silver and the girls team got gold. This is national now.
Wow.
So it's because of the support that the WCBA, Cape Town Basketball, the school structure, and also the department, making sure that these schools, these clubs are able to grow.
Ckimathi, that's great news. Now let's bring it back to home. Where do people find out more information about basketball? Do you have a website, Facebook page? How do people find out about leagues? How do people find out about coming to watch?
So we have a Facebook, Western Cape Basketball Association. You can get us on Facebook. USA Basketball also has its Western Cape USA Basketball League. And then we have a website, ctba.co.za. That's where you can get us.
Ckimathi,
Western Cape westerncape.org.
.org.
Westerncape.org.
Good, good.
My apologies.
Basketball is growing in leaps and bounds. And tell us again in closing, where is next weekend's event?
Next week's event, let's fill UCT on Friday, 7 o'clock, the USA Basketball Finals.
Sir, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
When we come back from the ad break, we'll be chatting Western Cape tennis, and thereafter we'll be chatting to the president of the Western Cape Provincial Sport Confederation about transformation. See you now.